In crisis, prioritize people over profits. Lessons from Tylenol and Maggie's responses.
This is demonstrating the principle, do the right thing. He said, we need to protect the people. And the amazing thing about this case, Jason, is that this company was found to be not at fault. Tylenol's cyanide lacing was not done in its production facilities or in its supply chain. Somebody did it probably in the pharmacy.
Yeah, probably opening some bottles up.
That's exactly right. And Tylenol was not at fault. In spite of that, Tylenol said, how do we protect the people as their first question? Starting from that question, the entire playbook opened up. Everything started with that question. Tylenol became transparent, like transparent. They invited the media, they invited the regulators, they voluntarily recalled the product, voluntarily they did a micro-level audit of their supply chain, their production. They opened a hotline for consumers. At that time, there was no internet, there was no email, there was no social media. There was 800 line. So they had operators who were giving consumers real-time information about Tylenol. And one of the most striking things that James Berg did was he went on multiple TV channels and radio channels, and he said to consumers, don't buy Tylenol. He said, don't buy Tylenol. This was his way of doing the right thing. At today's prices, that entire 3-month effort cost the company $300 million. At today's effort, today's exchange rate, today's purchasing power parity and stuff like that. Think about it. If a company has to do $300 million to basically fix their problem, most companies will balk at it. And there is so much stuff flying around in the media. Your reputation is at stake, right? Many companies will say, no, I'm not going to do this. And truth is, James Berg got a pushback from his own senior executives. They said it's an overreaction. But he was clear. How do we protect the people? Is doing the right thing. In our book, we say, first, recognize victims have your actions knowingly, unknowingly, or perceptually, even if not real, has affected some victims in a serious way. They have been harmed. They are hurt. They need immediate response and closure. That's what is doing the right thing. Another case, which is a little different, but it has a different stakeholder and probably not as serious as killing people, is Maggie Noodles, which is a brand of instant noodles in India made by Nestle. And Maggie Noodles had this problem where some regulator, the government official, did testing of Maggie and claimed that it had more MSG, monosodium glutamate, than permitted. Now, the reason why this could be a problem is because much of Maggie was eaten by children. And parents were very conscious about the health of their children. And more MSG means more health issues, potentially. So the consumers were confused, they were angry, they wanted answers. But what Maggie did, in our opinion, was they lost a few tricks. They, first of all, kept silent for quite a long time. You can't afford to be silent in today's day and age for as much as even a week is too long. Even a week is too long. Sometimes we say even 2 days is too long. Number one. Number two, they went to the regulators and said, you're wrong. We are going to do our own testing. I think Maggie was speaking from a place of pride and Swedish, production standards. They are an amazing corporation, right? But we think this was not the correct thing to do. They pretty much took the...
I think some of it was like, we're from Sweden, you're from India. Obviously, you're from India. Your stuff is like subpar.
Could be. I don't know the reason, psychology behind it. But Maggie should have, we think Nestle should have known better, because the regulators in India have been known to push back when somebody pushes them back. They have been known to do that. So Maggie got into the crosshairs of regulators. Now, the good news is Maggie did its own testing and found it did not have excess MSG. So the narrative was false.